Between the years of 1897 and 1911, 2 million people immigrated to Canada in response to the CPR, other technological advancements, and Clifford Sifton's famous advertisement, The Last Best West. The advertisement highlighted some of what the Western provinces had to offer, like cheap land and resources. All these factors caused both massive prairie and urban growth in the West. This period of Western settlement was one of the most prosperous in Canadian history, and I think it's directly responsible for the vast urban growth in British Columbia, most notably Vancouver. With the completion of the CPR in 1885, it connected BC to the rest of Canada, and it was the start to BC's urban growth. The railway brought people to the port of Vancouver by the hundreds, and by 1901, just 6 years after the railway was completed, Vancouver had a population of almost 27,000, surpassing the population of the province capital, Victoria. The CPR not only brought people to BC by rail, but many of the Chinese workers that worked on the railway ended up residing in Vancouver once construction was completed. However, since Vancouver is very pro-white English-speaking, the Chinese were segregated to a separate section of the city called Chinatown. Other technological advancements of the time period were also huge contributors to fueling BC's urban growth. The invention of the automobile made immigration to BC seem a lot more desirable, as the land was very rural, making transportation by foot or horseback very tough. But perhaps the most significant invention of the time period was the telephone. The telephone played a large role in BC's urbanization in how it linked the province to the rest of the country in a different way than the CPR ever could. It made it easy for people to get information out. Before, they had to use paper and pencil and the mail system as ways of distributing information. The telephone allowed them a more immediate way of communicating, and BC was no longer left in the dark. As BC continued to urbanize around the turn of the 20th century, rich entrepreneurs began coming to British Columbia. They came with the goal in mind to exploit BC's plentiful resources, which include forestry, fish, water, and minerals. A salmon cannery industry was established, as well as several sawmills, mines, and the first pulp and paper mill. With all these new industries opening up and expanding, BC's economy was growing, and people had the incentive to come and find work. Many of the immigrants that came to work in these industries were of Chinese and other non-white descent. A large percent of them couldn't speak English and only had basic working skills, so they were paid very poorly and had little workers' rights. However, oftentimes conditions in their own countries were worse, so immigrating to BC offered them a new start, and it fueled the economy and urban growth. In conclusion, this prosperous time period was a vital point in Canadian history. Without the combination of new technological advancements like the CPR, cars, and telephones, along with the government's efforts to expand west, BC would not have been urbanized until much later in history. Our province as we know it would not look the same or have the same cultural diversity as it does today.